Hello, everybody. This is Dr. McGuire from Higher Education Assist. Today, I have an awesome show. Look at these smiley faces here. We're going to talk sports marketing. It's been a topic of conversation through all my social media platforms. Kids want to know, how can I get involved, right? So I brought Dan and Mike on today to talk about their world, what they do every day from an organization that's hot, respected, and that would be the Philadelphia 76ers, right? So for those of you watching, it is a National Basketball Association team, right? It's professionals. They have upped their game in their career, so to speak, and we are going to dive right into it. How are you guys?
Great. It's good to be here, Tom. Appreciate you having us on board here.
Appreciate it, Dan. Great to be here, man. Looking forward to it.
Great. So, Dan, let's start with you. What exactly do you do with the Sixers?
Yeah, so for me, I'm a member services account manager. So for me in that role, what does that boil down to, right? So we are both in the sales part of the business side of sports here with the 76ers. So for me now, I actually take care of season ticket holders. So including you, Tom, as well as many others, I help fans make sure that their experience is great when they are attending Sixers games and when they're talking about the Sixers and thinking about the Sixers. And we have a variety of events throughout the year, which I'm sure we'll dive a little bit into later. But essentially, my job is make sure fans have a great time, keep their seats the next year, and help them, explore different things that they might have not known about when they didn't know about their season tickets before.
Right. All right, Mike. Thanks, Dan. So, Mike, you do the same thing, correct?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
Not exactly. I'm actually the guy that gets you to Dan. So I'm an account executive with the 76ers. So with that, I'm the guy that's giving you that call, making sure you can get on board, selling you those season tickets for that first year. So I'll tell you about the benefits that Dan just went through a little bit, kind of get you up to what our available seating is, and make sure I connect those dots as far as pricing, ideal seat location, things like that. And then I pass you along to Dan, and Dan takes you along for the ride from there.
Awesome. So I get asked all the time, and I'm sure you do as well, both of you. How did this start? How did you get involved, especially with the 76ers?
Yeah, I can go first. So for me, I actually went to the University of Connecticut. I'm personally from a little bit north of New York City, about an hour and a half north of New York City. So for me, went to UConn, wanted to go to a sports school, big rah-rah school, but not be too far from home. So for me, study sport management there. Wasn't really sure what part of the industry I wanted to be in, but knew, hey, I was really passionate about sports, pretty passionate about business, and learning more about it. So figured, why not try to combine the two? So I actually had an opportunity when I was on campus. Someone came from the 76ers. They're actually director there at the time. And she was looking for people to come and start full-time with the 76ers in sales, but talked a little bit more about the organization as a whole and not just the sales department. I was super interested and asked her plenty of questions. Luckily from there, built a great connection with her. She was able to help me get an internship after my junior year of college. So I actually moved to Philadelphia in South Jersey for 2-3 months after my junior year of college. Was able to learn firsthand what sales is, what working for a professional sports team is, and then was thankful and lucky enough that they asked me to come back full time after I graduated from UConn. So I've been there since. For me and Mike both, it's been a little bit over 2.5 years now full time there, but it's been a great ride and I've definitely learned a lot so far.
Awesome. Okay, how about you, Mike?
Yeah, my journey's a little different than Dan. Also went to a big time sports school though, West Virginia University. Go Mountaineers. And then after that, I was a sport management major. I actually went to a conference in Ohio where I met an account executive with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that's how I got introduced to like sports, sales, things like that. And then I went back home, good old website called Teamwork Online. If you want to get into sports, definitely want to be familiar with that. I applied all over the place, had interviews with the Sixers, but also the Hornets, Clippers, and the Redskins, or the Washington football team now. And luckily, I'm actually from the area. So when I got the offer, it was like a no-brainer to get on board. And first day, I'm sitting right next to Dan, and we've been going ever since.
That's great. Awesome. Well, let's transition into that because, again, get asked all the time. You do too. how do you break into the business, right? I don't want to put words. You tell us. How does one break into the business?
Yeah, I would say it's so many different ways to break into the business. Obviously, you can network connections. You have internships like Dan, he interned with the company. So that was his way in. And then as long as you excel while you're interning, it shouldn't be that hard to kind of keep it going. For me, I didn't intern. So I did a traditional route of teamwork online and different sports websites, connecting with professionals across LinkedIn, asking those extra questions. So I think it's just all about a different approach. There's different ways to get in. Not saying it's easy, but there's definitely different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Dan, how about you?
Yep, I definitely agree with Mike. I'd say networking is for sure key. I mean, me and my connection was meeting someone at my college campus, and she helped me connect to then put me in a good position for an internship. For Mike, it was connecting personally on his own time of asking people that are in the industry, what do they do, and learning more about their occupation, as well as, finding out who are these people that are going to be hiring for these roles that I'm applying to, not just sending his application in online and hoping he hears back, which is a major factor. And our side of the business as well, I wouldn't even overlook, at the end of the day, it is a business. So we're both in sales. A lot of people move into this industry because they have sales experience and they might not have sports experience, and that's okay. I know the Sixers, as well as many other teams, don't necessarily look for sport experience, but what skills have you learned in other roles you've done, or, other internships and things like that, that'll help you in a sales role, whether it's in sports or whether it's not in sports.
Right. So what suggestion would you guys give? Because many times they apply online, right? Kids, young adults, they apply online and think, great, I applied. I'm just going to sit back and wait. Everything you said, the LinkedIn, the networking, so on and so forth. But in today's world where we are right now, that can be challenging too, right? To network. I mean, the games right now are in terms of attendance, right? You know that. So what extra advice would you give considering the situation we're in now?
I would say key for me, some of the best advice I ever got is know what position you want and then find people in that position. And when you find them, that's when you learn, okay, what do I need to do to get there? So they'll tell you, hey, you want to make sure you have this attribute and you want to make sure you're bringing this to the table. So then it's like you're applying, but also you're getting that advice for that interview process as well. So you're not just going in there and you're like, yeah, I applied. I love sports. Like, it's not going to work that way. You have to actually know what they're looking for, or you're not going to get too far past that application.
Can you give me an example of who they would reach out to, Mike?
Yeah. So if you're looking to get into sales in sports, I would look at not just account executives like myself or account managers like Dan, but also look at sales associates, because that's the position they would be applying for, a sales associate position. And like most of the time, those people are straight out of college. So they're not too much older than you. They're very relatable and they're right in the thick of it. So they can tell you, hey, this is what I'm doing every day. This is what I need to do well in order to be successful. And then you can kind of start working on those things while you're waiting to hear back from that position. And then also I would connect with inside sales managers as well. If you can connect with those people, they're the ones hiring at the end of the day. So connect with them, see what they're looking for.
So you're saying it's a great place to start, and I totally agree. So I understand then there's a lot of positions, right, within that sports marketing space. Share with me what other positions, jobs, opportunities that are not only of interest to you, but are available if you so want to climb the ladder.
For sure. I can start us off here. So definitely a variety of different positions in different opportunities. For example, social media is a pretty popular opportunity that a lot of people are trying to get involved with. So I'm sure everyone that's listening, hopefully you do follow the Sixers, Twitter, Instagram pages, and so on. And social medias and content is something that we're seeing grow, not even just in sports, but all over in anything. So think about what skills you need to do for things like that, whether it's video production, whether it's actually the actual social media of, different graphics you're making and so on. There's a variety of different roles and ways that, just opportunities that sports teams have, and any business that is, of like, hey, how are they marketing themselves? How are they standing out from other companies? There's plenty of opportunities on the social media side, for sure.
Right. Mike, what would be some positions that you could think of that most people don't think of that are available there? Like, you know, we talked about it before, but go ahead.
Yeah, I can take it kind of a step past me and Dan. And if you look at activation for corporate partners and everything like that, for example, we have, you know, let's say we have the courtside seats. Those are going to have a name on it, whether it's Michelob Ultra, Verizon, something like that. How did that name get there? Well, there's people there that are selling these companies like, hey, we want to help you increase the revenue in our area. If you go ahead and sponsor the 76ers, we'll go ahead and label this whole courtside row Verizon courtside season ticket, you know, lane or whatever you want to call it, right? And then on top of that, you also have benefits as well. Make sure your name is plastered on the Jumbotron during the second time after every time for a camera update. And when you see those kids dancing on the camera, they go around and show the beard, Maestro's beard camp. That's the sponsor that was sold by someone in the corporate world, and it increases the revenue for that company.
Well, let me ask you, I love that world. So who's responsible for being creative when it comes to those different types of promotions? Is it the account / sales rep, somebody higher up? I know it has to get approved, but where does the creativity start and where does it end?
So the conversation, the ball gets rolling with the corporate partnerships seller. So they're the ones reaching out and getting in contact with those companies saying, hey, this is how much it would cost for us to kind of give you this much of a return on your investment. Once that deal is done, then it goes to the manager of activations. So those people are kind of like your account managers. The corporate partnership sellers are like me, an account executive, and then those manager activation like Dan, the account manager. And they're the ones that create the idea of, hey, let's come up with this idea and it's going to drive the business. So a perfect example with 76ers games, Wendy's Frosty Freeze Out. There's someone that sold Wendy's, but that activation person came up with the Frosty Freeze Out idea. And now everyone knows it, whether you're in the Philadelphia area or you're all the way in California, you know about the Wendy's Frosty Freeze Out.
I'm guilty of it. I'm there when it comes time for that. I'm like, no, this is, yeah, definitely. So Dan, moving forward through your career with the Sixers and, you know, hopefully you're there for a while, but what are your goals? What are your goals at this point?
Yeah, for me, I definitely have a passion for leadership and getting involved more in management. So for me, I think the management route is something that I'm super passionate about. So managing people more. So, right. So whether that's people that were similar to me and Mike, that were sales associates coming in entry level and teaching them how to sell, teaching them what working in sports is. It's a huge part of the industry. So that would kind of be one of the next steps. And then from there, it's managing a team that me or Mike are on as well. So now you have a staff that's a little bit more tenured that, hey, they know the ins and outs of how to sell, but how can you continue to make them better, help them grow personally and professionally? So moving up through the ranks and hopefully eventually, you know, running my own team one day and being a president of a team is my long.
So what do you do to have to get to that point?
Keep doing what I'm doing now. So for me, it's, I mean, the biggest thing, and no matter what industry, what role it is, it's if you're trying to make that next step, like the first thing you need to do is do your job right you're doing right now at the highest level. So it's, hey, how can you continue to be at the top of your game and improve at what you're supposed to be doing, your essentials? And then how else are you learning outside of that? So you want to make sure you're doing your job at a top level, but also learning, okay, what does it take to be an inside sales manager? What does it take to manage a team? So what skills do you need to learn and how can you kind of do that on the side as well as doing your job currently at a really high level?
So two things, can that be taught, right? And then two, how do you perform at your highest level?
Yeah, I think it definitely can be taught. And that's something for me that I'm working on every day. So for me, it's working closely with my director, right? Because he manages right now a team of 12. He's managed a team of 20 before. So he has experience in that. So it's learning as much as I can from him and being more involved in my team. So currently it's managing different processes. So it's, hey, you know, Dan's going to spearhead this project for us. So it's something that I'm working on that I can help delegate a little bit and get more of a management role and just feel for what I'm doing. As well as we have a great mentorship program within the Sixers. So what does that mean is kind of similar to what me and Mike were saying earlier is we came in as sales associates. So sales associates are coming in usually entry level, most of the time straight out of college, and you don't really know what's going on. So you need a mentor like myself or Mike or some other people at the Sixers that are teaching you, hey, these are, you know, the things professionally you should be doing, you know, whether it's networking within the office, you know, getting to know other people, or personally as well, just setting you up to have a better career for the long term.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's mentorship is the, you know, when everybody buys in and is on the same page to help one another, that's great. Mike, what are your goals?
Yeah, so on the opposite, like I was actually just describing, my next step that I'm looking for is corporate partnerships. I want to get into that space of, you know, whether I'm talking to Chick-fil-A and trying to figure out how can I increase the volume of customers in the Philadelphia area through the 76ers. So that's my goal. And then as far as the steps, just like Dan said, doing my job at the highest level, I think that's one of the most important things that anyone needs to know when you're trying to get to the next level. If you're the best at your current position, that's the best way to set yourself up for the next position at the end of the day. So right now I'm reaching out to different businesses in the Philadelphia area to try to increase my volume and kind of bring in some bigger numbers as far as revenue for the team. So then it looks like, hey, he actually knows what he's doing with these bigger accounts. He's ready for the next step.
Right. Okay. So, you know, in any job, any career, any organization, every day is not the same. You have good days, you have bad days, right? Let's just be honest. What's a good day for you, Dan? And then Mike, we'll take turns. Dan, what's a good day for you within the organization?
It's a great question. And it'll differ slightly for me and Mike, I'd say. Because for me, it's my main focus is renewing season ticket members. So like you, Tom, it's, you know, making sure you're happy with your current membership and making sure, hey, that you're going to come back the next year and after that. I do a little bit as Mike does as well, as his main focus is new business. So whether that's, hey, you know, Tom, I know you have 2 kids that might want to come out as well. Like, why don't we do 4 seats instead of 2 seats next year? Things like that. So a great day could be selling someone new business. A great day could just be connecting with, you know, a lot of my members and getting to know them more on a personal level and making sure they're all right, you know, and keeping them updated with what's going on with the Sixers season, which is a lot of updates in a world of uncertainty right now, as you can imagine.
Sure. Now, everybody has room for improvement, right? What are some of the things for yourself personally? Like you're Dan, what are some of the things internally that you know that you have to work on to maybe go to the next level?
For sure. So, I mean, there's a few different things. There's always room for improvement. I'd say for me, I've put a huge focus over the last year of organization. So that's something that I've not naturally very organized, but I've been able to improve on that a lot over the last year because in my role, I need to be organized. I have over 500 accounts and every account has 2 to, let's say, 6 seats. It's a lot of people to reach out to and keep updated on things. So for me, one huge area of opportunity is continuing to improve on that organization and saying, hey, you know, how can I make sure that I'm reaching out to all of my members every month and a half to make sure that they know exactly what's going on and they're updated with the season. So that's something that I'm working on. So it's more just being organized within my calendar of setting, hey, you know, I just talked to Tom today. I'm going to set a reminder task for 45 days from now to give him another call to stay updated and, you know, keep me accountable for doing that as well.
I hear the word structure in your world. You got to be very structured. Mike, how about you? What's a good day for Mike?
Yes, good day for me. Wake up, get some orange juice. No, seriously. But for me, similar to Dan, new business, that's my main focus. So if I wake up and I have, you know, a couple calls and I close some deals, that's a great day for me. You know, whether it's even when sometimes people call in and they just want information on how things are going. Those sometimes are just great days for me just to have that relief of just having a conversation about good basketball. You know, that's a great day for me. When bad days, we'll get to that later. But overall, making deals and talking basketball, if I can do that every day, then I'm in heaven.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So I didn't ask you. Thanks, Mike. I didn't ask you this beforehand, but who, if anybody, has been an influence in your life? It could be political, it could be family, it could be somebody within the organization, or it could be nobody, right? And I ask this all the time because it's a different perspective. Does anybody come to mind?
I can go first.
Okay.
For me, I think of my parents, right? So for me, like I said, I grew up in New York, about an hour and a half north of New York City. So for us, I'd say we're more from like a lower middle class area. So for me, it's seeing my parents do so much and work so hard to provide for me and my two older sisters is inspiring. And it's, you know, I want to do that someday with my family, and be able to, you know, continue to do the things that I can and, you know, make sure that I'm in a career also that I love on a day to day as well. And that's something that they've, you know, definitely instilled in me of like, hey, you know, money isn't everything, but happiness is. So it's, you know, finding your passion, finding things you care about, and really just going all in on them.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Mike?
Yeah, similar, following up and saying the same thing as Dan, but I'm gonna go with my parents as well. The main thing that they told me was not to be afraid to take chances when I was young. And I think they showed me an example of that all throughout my life. And they have 3 kids, all of us out of state tuition. So we went all over the place, whether my sister, it was in Arizona, I'm in West Virginia, we're from Delaware. So none of us are close to home, but we're just going out and trying our best to do whatever we're doing. My sister right now, she's an app developer. So she's following her dreams. They knew I wanted to work in sports. And coming out of college, Dan knows how it is. If you get close to that graduation date on LinkedIn, you're getting job updates for so many random jobs, whether it's WB Mason or, you know, some tech company, everyone's reaching out. And it's so easy to just go ahead and take those because you see that dollar amount and you think security. I'm a broke college student. You know, I'm not making any money, but that $50K looks very good right now. And getting into sports is not the flashiest thing in the world when you first get in. It's not.
What do you mean by that?
Huh?
What do you mean by that?
So when people hear sports, they're like, oh, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be on TV. That's not the first day. Your first day, you're not doing that. Your first day, you're not getting paid $100,000 a year, and you're not going to be shaking hands with Joel Embiid after games and partying at the club. It's a grind when you get in. And there's going to be long nights and early mornings. And it's very easy to quit. Tell you that right now. I've seen so many people quit. Dan seen.
Why is that? Why is it easy to quit?
Because when you see the people around you, as far as your friends that do take those tech jobs, your friends that were engineering majors, so they might work 9 to 5 and 5 o'clock hits, they're partying, they're having fun. And you know, well, yeah, we're off at 5, but if I want to be successful, I got to be in this office till 7 o'clock. If I want to be successful, I got to get back in this office at 7 o'clock. So
I'm glad you brought that up, right? And Dan, I'm sure you agree. I've worked in sports marketing for a while, but to your point, it's not glamorous all the time, right? And if you can separate the two, put your foot forward, you know, and do the right thing and have that vision, you know, you can succeed.
And one thing, Tom, on that, if I could just add on really quick, because I totally agree with what Mike said, and it's very, very true. And if you think about it, I mean, no one really thinks about it until you work in sports, right? For you or some other people, you might work 9 to 5. Great. You can go to the Sixers game at 7 o'clock and have no issues. Whereas me or Mike or someone else, you know, whatever industry they're in, for us, I have to work from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. because it's a game night. And that's, you know, the sacrifice that I made by choosing to be in this industry. And when you think working in sports, you think, oh, great, you know, and yes, there is a lot of fun and a lot of great people and a lot of pros. And like anything, though, everything's pros and cons. So, you know, as everyone else is enjoying their leisurely hours, for me, I don't get as many leisurely hours to go watch a game or so on because I might have to work late. I might have to be in the arena till 11 p.m.
No, that's a good point. Absolutely. My next question is college necessary? In general?
A good question. In general,
there's no right or wrong.
No, you're right. There's definitely a lot of things that I learned in college. I don't know if they're all necessarily from the education part of it. Personally, for me, I felt like I learned the most from being away from home and living on my own and having a different experience. I have 2 older sisters, like I mentioned earlier. Both of them actually stayed at home and went to community college at first and then went to other colleges nearby, but commuted from home. So they had a completely different experience than I did. For me, I felt like I was able to mature and grow and learn a lot more of different things from living on my own and being by myself for, 3 hours away roughly from home. So not even like it was too far, but living on your own and figuring things out is a lot different than living at home and commuting and just having still that safety of other things going on. Like Mike said earlier, stepping outside of your comfort zone, I think is huge. For me, that's probably my biggest takeaway, honestly, from college. Over the courses, over everything, it's the people that I met there, the connections that I made, and just the learning and maturity experience that I think I got from it helped me.
That's a great point, right? Mike, do you think college is important?
Yeah, I would say as far as your courses, the courses are not as important to me. I'm gonna be honest. Like, there's not too many things that when I think back to college, like, oh yeah, I used that today in my current role. But as far as that piece of paper, that is as important as it's going to be, because half the time that's going to get you in the door. So college is necessary as far as the paper, and then experiences like Dan just pointed out to me being in West Virginia by myself, 5 hours from home. I had to do a lot of different things that I didn't even imagine when I first touched down on campus. And it made me a better person. It made me more prepared for today in the real world. So as far as experiences, yes. The paper, as far as your degree, absolutely. You need that to get in the door, but the courses could go. If I could just
sure.
Courses.
and I respect that. And the reason I ask, because, I think more than ever today, kids are being pressured to go to college, right? To go to school. But as you know, the statistics show 1 in 4 seniors, for example, don't know what they want to do, right? And that's part of it. But, then why maybe spend all that money when you're not sure what you want to do, right?
Go ahead.
I'll go quick. A couple of things off that, because I totally agree, Tom. And I think the choice of the college that you choose, depending on the industry that you go in, for sure. For us, being in sales, it didn't really matter that I went to UConn versus another school. Going to UConn did help me get that initial connection and internship. So it's kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth there. But for me and my success in the role, I developed and learned, and it's like the sales skills that were necessary to be good at my job. I didn't necessarily learn from being at UConn. I learned them from learning in the role. The actual connection for me to get the internship was through UConn. But if you're asking, hey, should I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars going to UConn versus an in-state school for me? I'm not sure I would have necessarily made the same decision looking back on it now that I'm financially paying for everything, on my own now.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Mike, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Dan. I think the university does not matter as much depending on the industry you're looking to get into. Like, West Virginia isn't a sales school, but Baylor is like a huge sales school. I did not go to Baylor, but I'm still in sports and I'm still in sales. So obviously it depends on the industry. I would also say, like, if you don't know what you want to do when you first get to college, it's not the end of the world. Don't be afraid to go in undecided, because those first couple of years, you got to take general classes anyway. Me and Dan could be totally different majors. He could be in sports management. I could be in bio, but we're still in English 101 together. So those first 2 years, you can definitely just fill it out, knock out those general classes. And then once you kind of get a feel for it, and trust me, when you're not as big, you're in college, by the end of the first year, you usually have an idea of what you like. Then that's when you go ahead and declare a major and you start making progress toward that.
Right. Okay, definitely. It's always a great topic of conversation. Let me just share with you guys a few pictures, if I can. Nah, I could be wrong. Yep, bear with me. All right.
Mike, I'm enjoying the Franklin background as well as we're waiting.
Yeah, can we see those?
My guy, my guy right there. Great.
So Dan, you sent me these. Mike, Dan, yeah. What are we looking at here?
Yep. So this right here is, as I mentioned earlier, we do plenty of season ticket member events throughout the season. So for this one, this is actually, we call it our VIP hardwood event. So it's for VIP clients, row 1 and row 2, and we've done it the last 3 or 4 years now. It actually won a few awards from the NBA, But here this is a picture of our practice facility where the Sixers play every single day, work out, and get better. And as you can see there at the bottom of the screen, you actually see a couple tables looked up for a very, very nice dinner, looking like you're at a restaurant. So this was a really cool event that luckily I had the privilege of working. And essentially what happens is the team chef cooks up a great meal for some of the top season ticket members, courtside members. And they're able to come. And this is back when Coach Brown was the coach of the Sixers. And he actually talked to the fans and talked about what his day-to-day is and talked about the arena, the practice facility, and just had a great meal. And it was a really cool opportunity for courtside members to actually intermingle with a few players as well as a few people on the coaching staff. So it was a really cool and very unique.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Next.
Yep. So this one here is we actually did a post-game free throws. So a few times a year, we're able to have some season ticket members come down after a game and shoot on the court where the Sixers play. And I know Mike's been at plenty of these and actually sells some of them as well. So Mike, if you want to give a little insight on that, I think they'd enjoy it.
Yeah, if you look over there in the bottom right, I'm actually over there in a gray suit. So that's pretty funny right there.
Okay.
But like Dan said earlier, we have plenty of events, and this is one of those events that we actually had, I want to say in that February, March timeframe, right before the pandemic truly kind of stopped the world. But after the game, invited a certain amount of season ticket members. You'll know before the game, make sure you sign a waiver before you step on the court, and you get to shoot around. And it's kind of like experiencing being an NBA player. Like, I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, middle school, I wasn't shooting on NBA courts at the end of the game after the Sixers just won and Joel Embiid was dunking and shooting on the court all night. So it's a pretty cool experience if you ask me.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of cool opportunities with you in your world. Okay, what do we have here?
Yep. So this one, another season ticket member event. So this is, as you can see over there in the gray, nice suit jacket, is Dr. J, Sixers legend. So this was an event. We actually had another season ticket member event where we actually had a watch party. It was a Sixers Celtics game. We had a big projector at Parks Casino, who's one of our partners, as Mike was talking about earlier, of using your partners, right? What a great opportunity than having an event at one of your partners' casinos. And so we had an awesome watch party. There was a buffet of food for season ticket members. There was a couple of drink tickets, and we raffled off some really cool prizes. And what's cooler than hearing from a Sixers legend, doing a Q&A with actually our friend Rob, who's actually on my team as an account manager, had an awesome opportunity, ask Dr. J a few questions, as well as kick it to season ticket members to ask him whatever they wanted to know.
That's great. That is really fun. Okay.
And this one here, Mike has seen it plenty of times as well. So throughout the games, we're talking about different opportunities. Like one opportunity is our game day marketing and promotion staff as well. So what they do on a game day, and it's whether it's the Sixers or I know I did it for a summer for a minor league baseball team of promotions. So those promotions, similar to what Mike was saying, work with corporate partners. So this is one right here. It's one of our PA lottery partners here. So it's kind of like a money machine. So you're in there and you try to catch as many ping pong balls as you can. And it's one of our in-game promotions that happens during a timeout. So another opportunity for, whether you might be a little bit more interested in the marketing and promotion side, but this is a cool opportunity. One of my season ticket members was actually chosen to go in there. He did pretty well. Not the best, but he did pretty well.
So, Mike, is that something that you want to get involved in, right, with the PA lottery, the sponsorship? Am I right?
Yeah. So, like Dan said, this is one of those examples where I would sell the PA lottery like, hey, we can go ahead and activate you guys at a game, increase the volume of people in the Pennsylvania area playing the lottery. And then Dan or someone in the manager activation idea comes up with this idea. And all around when you see this, you instantly think, oh, man, PA lottery's going on at the Sixers game. I got to remember to play my numbers tonight, right?
Right,
so
right.
That's the idea. And then I'm not sure if you caught it, but in that picture across that top banner, you saw Wendy's Frosty Freeze Out going across that top banner as well. So whether timeout or all throughout the game, there's some activation going on, and you don't even realize – I'm getting a call right there. Look at that. But you don't even realize what's going on around you, but so like to your subconscious, you're like, man, I want Wendy's. I don't know why I want Wendy's tonight, but I want Wendy's. But it's across the banner, the Frosty Freeze Out. And you know, in that second half, they had the signs of the Frosties, Wendy's big head going up all around. So it's so many things going on that when you leave the game, all of a sudden you want to switch to Verizon and you want to play the PA lottery and you want a Frosty and you have no idea why. It was happening around you all night.
Yeah, opportunity everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
Just a few more things. Where do you think it would be right now if it wasn't for the Sixers? Hypothetical.
It's a great question. It's a great question for me. I don't know. I mean, I think sales is definitely an industry that I would stay in, whether it's within sports or potentially not in sports. I think for me, it's the skills, my personal skills matched up with the skills needed to be successful at it, right? So sales, you have to talk with a lot of people. You have to build relationships. So interpersonal skills of being able to connect with people and not being afraid to walk up to someone and introduce yourself is definitely key. And not being afraid to make plenty of calls, as Mike knows, like we have to try to reach people, whether it's a business, whether it's a family, whoever, and have that conversation, be genuine too, and building that relationship. Because if you're not going to be genuine about it, with the season ticket member, you as a corporate partner will know, and, might not be a great relationship. So it really is a lot of, personality, interpersonal communication skills necessary to be in sales.
Right. Mike, where would you be right now, you think?
I mean, if it wasn't the Sixers, it would probably be another sports team, honestly. But if I had to go outside of sports, I would definitely stay in sales, probably in the tech industry. The tech industry is pretty big right now. Whether you're talking about food delivery like Grubhub or DoorDash or something like that, or even Amazon is tech as well. Everything's moving towards that, especially with the pandemic that just hit. And it's a booming industry, and tech is around forever. It's not going anywhere. You have a cell phone. I have a cell phone. We're on Zoom right now. So technology is everywhere. So I would stay in sales because that's who I am at heart. I'm a people person. I connect with people. I build relationships, and I enjoy it. So I would still be in sales, but probably just the tech industry.
Okay. All right. So my last question, what advice would you give if you had a conversation with a young adult, right? Without preaching. What advice would you give them? Whether they want to go into sports, just where they are. We'll say late high school, maybe early adulthood. What advice would you give them from a work ethic and a career-minded conversation?
Yeah.
You can go, Mike.
As far as work ethic, it's simple. If you're not going to give 100%, then you might as well not do it at all. That's how I see everything. If you're not going to give it your all, then going 50% is only going to do you a disservice. You're wasting your own time. And then career-wise, be open and don't be afraid. You can't be afraid of relocating because all you know is the Philadelphia area or, the Delaware County, South Jersey, whatever. You can't be afraid to go to Montana if the opportunity is out there. I always think about when I first got into college, I used to look at broadcasting and journalism. And I did research on sports anchors on ESPN. And, I'm thinking, oh, these guys started out on, in New York at these big industries. Most of them start at a local news station in the middle of nowhere. There was one that started in West Virginia, one in South Dakota, one all the way in Montana, and they're just doing sports, high school sports at local places. And then their next step is ESPN. Why is it? Because they saw opportunity and they took it and they excelled at it. And ESPN's not going to go to ABC and try to take their top sports person. ABC's a big company. They're going to go to these small local news stations and see who they can find out there. So just don't be afraid to take the opportunity because you never know where it can lead you.
Right. Awesome. Dan?
I think that's great. And I'd say for work ethic, I think it goes along with like passion, right? It's okay to not know what you're passionate about right now, but as Mike said, like trying new things is going to be key to finding that. And if you do find something that you are passionate about, whether it's an industry, whether it's a certain aspect of an industry, sales, sports, whatever it may be, like for me and Mike, yes, we work every day, but it doesn't feel like work because we both love sports and we love the business side of sports as well. which I think you definitely need to love both if you're going to be in the positions that we are. And if you find something you care about, it won't feel like work, which is key. It'll be a lot easier to work harder because, you care about what you're doing, and want to get better at it and want to take the next step and whatever that is. And then I would echo definitely the same sentiments that Mike said of getting outside of your comfort zone and trying something new. I think of pretty similar to kind of what Mike's example was. One of my really good friends from college, his goal was to work for ESPN. He wanted to be in marketing. He wanted to work for ESPN. Applied to plenty of internships in college, even right after college, entry level positions. Didn't get any of them. Connected with as many people as he could from there. Didn't get any of them. What did he do? Instead of going to ESPN to the sport aspect that he wanted to be in, he went to a marketing firm. And he actually learned the marketing skills that he needed to do well at a company like ESPN. So he knew his end goal was, hey, how can I get to ESPN? I need to develop these skills. And how can I do that? Let me go to a place that specializes in marketing, a third-party firm. So he learned.
That's a great story.
And he launched himself and was able, and now he's working at ESPN, loving it. So, and he's still in a marketing role because he was able to learn those skills by doing something else. And it's because he stepped outside of his comfort zone, tried something different, and logically thought, okay, cool. That's where I want to be. How do I get there? He wasn't afraid to take the risk.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, right, I'm sure you agree, that people get complacent for whatever reason. Hey, no pain, no gain, right? Put your foot forward out there and try, right? Develop different tools. But I'm big on relationships, as you guys know. Awesome. Any final thoughts? I'm not trying to, this has been great. This is going to help a lot of folks out that just think outside the box and pursue your passion, whether it's in sports or not. Definitely the internships like you spoke about. Here's my suggestion, that if one's going to school and the internships are not there, right, go out and find them yourself. Do you agree with that?
Totally agree with that. I mean, think about it. Some internships are unpaid. So how can you learn from them? And it might not even be something where it needs to be a 2-month process of learning a specific job. Is it, hey, can you shadow someone for a day to learn what they do? Most people are open to that. People love talking about what they do, as me and Mike do. That's why we're here. Part of the reason, like, they love and they're passionate about talking to people about what they do and helping people get there that are interested in getting. So if you show a genuine interest of like, hey, I noticed you do this. I'm really interested in learning about it. It might be something I'm interested in the future. Like, can I shadow you for a day? Can you give me an insight of what it is that you do on a day-to-day? And maybe it's not even shadowing. Maybe it's just a 15-minute phone call of learning about what exactly it is they do and how they've been successful at it. And in that point, you're also building relationships too, right? So, hey, maybe a year down the line, a few months down the line, who knows, that person might have an opening for an internship, for an entry-level job. And they're going to think of you because you took the time just to learn about them and learn about what they do and showed an interest in it.
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was going to say, to kind of go off of what Dan said and what you said, even if there's not an internship, you can always find a way to get the skills you need. Like, for example, Dan had an internship, and that's where his sales skills came from to get him ready for his role. I didn't have an internship. Couldn't find an internship. So instead, I worked at Finish Line as a sales associate, selling sneakers. That's where I got my sales skills from. So then when it came down to interviewing, does he have sales skills? Oh, he worked at Finish Line for a year. It's not your traditional sports internship, but the skills are still translatable. So even if you can't find the internship, find a way to find the skills. If you can find the skills and learn the skills, that's all you need.
Yeah, good point. Definitely. I even tell folks, go start with your high school sports team, right? Be a videographer, run the water up and down the field, right? Just whatever you got to do to get your feet wet, so to speak. All right, guys, this has been awesome. I really appreciate it. AutoTraining.edu. I want to thank them as a supporter of Higher Education Assist. And guys, I will include your contact information in our social media and label it to this video. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay. Just hang tight, guys.